into the afternoon practice?
Oh, it was great. We've been able to Zoom with the players that we had signed or drafted, so there was probably half the group that was a little more advanced than the second group. So some of the things we did this morning in a walk, meetings and walk, then coming out was a little bit easier for that first group. But first and foremost, I thought the effort was outstanding, and we stayed off the ground for the most part, which is half the battle. Took the helmets off a couple of times just to slow them down a little bit, but
Karma just hit Mary Kay Cabot anti-Shedeur agenda at Todd Monken's rookie mini camp press conference. Here's every word. So don't skip a single second of this video, and if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. Let me tell you something, and I want you to really sit with this for a second. What you just heard right there, that wasn't a press conference. That was a public execution. And the wildest part, the man holding the blade never raised his voice, not once. He didn't slam the podium. He didn't throw a single name out there. He didn't even acknowledge that a smear campaign existed. He just stood up there, answered routine questions about footwork, rep counts, and a receiver coming off a scope. And somewhere between question 3 and question 7, he absolutely dismantled 6 months of agenda-driven garbage that's been thrown at his rookie quarterback. And I am still trying to process what I just witnessed. Because here's the thing, when you've been a fan watching the circus play out for months, when you've watched anonymous source after anonymous source bury this kid before he's ever taken a real NFL snap, when you've read column after column from the same writer pushing the same tired narrative, you start to feel a little crazy. You start wondering if you're the only one seeing what's happening. You start wondering if the truth even matters anymore. And then this happens. A head coach walks up to a microphone and without ever saying her name, without ever mentioning the columnist, without ever giving the agenda a single ounce of oxygen, he ends it. He ends all of it. And that's why this moment matters. This isn't just about one rookie quarterback. This is bigger, way bigger. This is about an entire ecosystem. The beat reporters, the anonymous sources, the columnists with axes to grind, the morning show hot take artists who decided months ago that this kid wasn't going to get a fair shake. They wrote the obituary before the body was even in the building. And today, the most credible voice in that entire organization quietly took a sledgehammer to every single one of their talking points. She wrote the column. He answered with a clinic. She built the agenda. He built a roster. She pushed the narrative. He pushed the football. And I need you to understand what just happened here, because I'm about to walk you through this thing line by line, soundbite by soundbite, and show you exactly how the wheels came off this operation in real time. Every single answer he gave, every technical observation, every coaching note, every casual aside was a wrecking ball to the framework these people have been building since the draft, and the people who built that framework. They don't even realize it's collapsing yet, but you're about to see it, you're about to hear it, you're about to understand exactly why fans like us who have been screaming into the void for months finally got our receipts. And trust me when I tell you, this is just the beginning of the breakdown. Stick with me, because what's coming next is going to blow your mind. Now let's get into the receipts, because emotion is one thing, but evidence is what separates a real conversation from a noise machine. And what this head coach laid out on that podium was a paper trail so clean, so undeniable, that I genuinely don't know how anyone with a functioning brain can keep pushing this agenda after today. Listen to me very carefully. Every single criticism, every one of them that has been thrown at our rookie quarterback through these shady anonymous sources over the last several months, was a criticism the head coach openly, casually, and without an ounce of drama applied to the other rookie quarterback on day 1 of minicamp. Eyes not in the right place, he said it. Processing speed, he addressed it. Not ready yet, he literally said it's too early to tell anything. Same exact observation, same exact language. Same exact rookie growing pains. But here's where it gets wild. When the coach says it about the other guy, it's a coaching note, it's a footnote, it's a development checkpoint. Nobody writes a column, nobody calls a radio show, nobody runs a banner across the bottom of the screen. But when those same words leak out through an anonymous source about our guy, suddenly it's a 5-alarm fire, suddenly it's character, suddenly it's maturity, suddenly it's a reason to bench him before he's even taken a snap. That asymmetry, that double standard, is the entire ballgame. One rookie gets coached, the other rookie gets crucified. Same play, same field, same evaluation criteria, completely different framing depending on whose agenda the writer happens to be carrying that week. And this is why this press conference matters so much, because legitimate coaching evaluations don't leak. They live inside the facility walls, they come out at press conferences. They get delivered in measured, technical language by the man whose name is on the door. Manufactured narratives, those live in 800-word columns sourced to people inside the building. Those live on Twitter at 2 a.m. Those live in morning show segments that need a villain to fill 12 minutes of airtime. And the moment that head coach used the exact same words this columnist has been weaponizing for months and treated it like routine football, not a scandal, the entire framework of this smear job collapsed in on itself. He coached, she campaigned, he developed, she demolished, he built, she broke, and don't even get me started on the receiver coming off that scope. The man literally told us they're monitoring reps, managing bodies, being careful with a first-round pick because that's what real organizations do. They protect their investments. They develop their talent. They don't run a circus. The only circus happening anywhere near this team is the one being staged outside the building by one writer with a vendetta. And the next thing we need to talk about, why this pattern keeps working and how it's been working for years. Now I need to step back for a minute because what we're really dealing with here isn't just one columnist with a grudge. This is bigger than that. This is a machine. This is an entire industry built on a very specific playbook, and once you see it, you can't unsee it. Let me walk you through how it works. Step 1, a beat writer decides for whatever reason that they don't like a player. Maybe the player didn't give them an exclusive. Maybe the player's camp didn't return their call. Maybe the writer just doesn't vibe with the kid's swagger, his story, his confidence. Whatever the reason, the decision gets made, and from that moment on, every piece of information that comes out of that building gets filtered through that lens. Step 2, they start sourcing. And here's the magic trick. They never use names, ever. It's always people familiar with the situation. It's always sources inside the organization. It's always one team source said. No accountability, no face, no way to fact check, no way to push back. Step 3, they drip feed. They time these leaks for maximum damage. Voluntary workouts, mini camps, OTAs, the exact moments when the player can't defend himself on the field because there's no real football happening yet. Just whispers, just innuendo, just column after column laying brick after brick of a narrative that's almost impossible to tear down once it sets. And here's why this works, and here's why it keeps working. Most fans don't have time for this. You've got a job, you've got a family, you've got bills. You're not sitting there forensically dissecting every single column to figure out if the sourcing actually makes sense. So by the time the truth surfaces, if it surfaces at all, the narrative has already calcified into accepted fact. The kid is already labeled, the locker room is already painted, the damage is done. And I'm telling you, it makes my blood boil, because think about who this hurts. It hurts the player who has to wake up every morning and read a fresh hit piece about a version of himself he doesn't even recognize. It hurts the teammates who have to answer questions about their quarterback's attitude instead of about their actual jobs. It hurts the fans who get gaslit into doubting their own eyes. And it hurts the sport because we deserve real coverage, not weaponized fiction. But here's the antidote, and we just watched it happen in real time. A head coach speaking on the record, name attached, face on camera, real football observations, real coaching language, real accountability. That is worth 1,000 anonymous source columns. That is why coaching transparency wins. That is why this columnist lost this round, and she lost it badly. No name attached, no accountability, no face, no truth. And the best part, the real story, the actual football story, is only just beginning. Now let's flip the script. Let's stop talking about what's being done to this kid and start talking about what's being built around him. Because if you actually pull back from the noise, if you put down the columns, mute the morning shows, and just look at the roster, the staff, and the structure of this organization, what you see is something special, something quiet, something that nobody outside the building wants to talk about because it doesn't fit the storyline they've been selling. Start with the receiver. First round investment. A kid who already knows this quarterback's voice, his cadence, his eyes, his timing, because they spent years together in college lighting up defenses. That chemistry doesn't get built in OTAs. That chemistry doesn't get built in training camp. That chemistry takes years to develop, and this front office walked into the draft and handed our rookie quarterback a pre-installed weapon. That doesn't happen by accident. That is intentional roster construction. That is a front office quietly telling you exactly who they believe in, even while the media outside is telling you the opposite. Now look at the head coach. This is the part that really gets me. Listen to how he talks. He's been around the game long enough to coach one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks of this generation, and instead of taking credit, he literally said he got that guy late in his career. He said, let's not pretend we did everything. That's not ego. That's not chest thumping. That's humility. That's a man who understands his job is to serve the player, not the other way around. And when you put a young quarterback in that kind of environment, a developmental laboratory run by a coach who actually respects the craft, you give that kid a real shot. Now imagine it. Imagine the rookie sitting in his hotel room tonight watching the press conference back. Imagine him hearing his head coach quietly, calmly, methodically dismantle every single talking point that's been thrown at him for months, without ever needing to mention his name. Imagine the receiver running routes in the morning, knowing his quarterback from college is one decision away from getting the keys to this offense. Imagine the brotherhood already forming in that locker room, players who can see through the noise, players who recognize a fraud campaign when they see one, players ready to ride for their guy. The pieces are here, the plan is here, the patience is here. This is how dynasties start, not with parades, not with headlines, not with manufactured drama. Dynasties start quietly, through trust, through development, through coaches who refuse to play the media's stupid game. And once this rookie gets his shot, and he's going to get his shot, the people who tried to bury him are going to have nowhere to hide. Because the prediction I'm about to make, it's bold, and it's coming next. So here's where I land, and I want you to really hear me on this. What we watched today wasn't a press conference. It was a turning point, a line in the sand. A moment that historians of this franchise are going to look back on and say, that was the day everything changed. That was the day the head coach quietly, without fanfare, without ego, without a single dramatic gesture, drew an unspoken line between his locker room and the outside noise. And once that line gets drawn, it doesn't get undrawn. From this point forward, every column that gets written, every anonymous quote that gets leaked, every hot take that gets fired off on a morning show is going to look smaller, weaker, more desperate, because the most authoritative voice in that entire building just refused to play the game. He didn't dignify it, he didn't reference it. He just stood up there, did his job, and let his football do the talking. And that's the loudest message a head coach can possibly send. Here's my bold prediction. Write it down, screenshot it. Come back to this video in 3 months when training camp opens and tell me if I was wrong. The entire conversation is going to flip. The same writers who spent 6 months building hit pieces are going to be quietly pivoting to redemption arc framing. They're going to suddenly discover that this kid has been working harder than anyone realized. They're going to suddenly notice the chemistry with his college receiver. They're going to suddenly remember that he was always undervalued. And they're going to act like they were never part of the problem. But we'll remember every single column. We'll remember every single anonymous quote. We'll remember every single morning show segment. And our rookie, he's going to take all of this, every doubt, every smear, every hit piece, and he's going to weaponize it. That's what guys with his story do. They don't fold under pressure, they feed on it. Now listen, I want to talk to you for a second. Yeah, you, the one who's been with me this whole video. Thank you, seriously. Thank you for not letting the noise drown out the truth. Thank you for being the kind of fan who actually watches the press conferences instead of just inhaling the headlines. Thank you for caring enough about this game, this team, and this kid to sit through 15 minutes of me ranting about a press conference most of the media is going to gloss over by tomorrow. Drop me a comment right now. Tell me, was today the moment the smear campaign officially died? Hit that like button, smash that subscribe, and stay locked in with me, because if today was any indication of where this season is heading, we are about to witness a movie. Karma showed up. Karma stayed quiet, karma still won.